Of the paper mill is now in progress, and thought we should do some videoing here before the building comes down. Once it's down, it's gone forever. They're taking out the asbestos now. The government grants that are involved in this project have a lot of strings attached, so there are a lot of parties involved as to who can do what and who has to sign off on it, and it's been a kind of a slow process, but we're looking at the west side of the mill right now, and the asbestos is being removed from inside. I don't know if we'll get in there or not, and if we do, if it isn't too dark to see anything. Hazardous area now, so we'll have to be careful as to how we film. So we're looking at the west side, at least the northwest. The gates that are where the water used to come in from the canal, and these grates stopped a lot of trash from getting into the mill proper, so that the water came in fairly clean without rubble in it. And we are looking north, and that's the canal in that area. It's empty now, and there's talk of filling it, but just what they'll be allowed to fill it with, I don't know. Maybe some of the debris from the building, and maybe not. That's the hydroelectric plant over at Minnesota Power. They originally owned the property that the mill sits on, and I say formally because just within the last couple of days it's been transferred to the city, because that's the only way they can utilize the grant money on this project. Still on the west side. This looks like a gate here that would shut the flow of water from the canal. We're looking at ground level and looking down probably 18, 20, 25 feet to the bottom. The grates. This will all be filled in one way or the other. The contract for demolition has been made, and the people are working in here. There are a lot of cars out here, so I assume there are a lot of people inside working. Closer look at the canal area, which is void of water. There was a spur line for the railroad came in here, but they removed that when the canal blew out. Took out the pre-treatment plant, which is in this general area, and we'll try to get closer to it. Take some pictures from the north side of the building, or complex as it is, or it's a complex of many buildings, additions and storage areas, little graffiti. So you know the kids were in here, which made it very dangerous. The roofs are questionable, could come down at any time. Demolition was the only solution to this problem. This was the walkway. There's a fence here. Workers used to enter in this area, if I remember right. I grew up in this area. On the inside, and we've got Ron Klinker, who is, what's your job title, Ron?
I'm a environmental site manager for Landmark Environmental.
Okay.
Working on cleaning up the Hennepin paper site here. What we have here is, this is the old paper machine room, as you can see.
Okay.
The bulk of the paper machine is gone.
Uh-huh. That equipment was all sold or junked out?
It's basically been sold. What's left here will be junked out when the building's demolished.
Uh-huh.
What we have here now are crews working on getting rid of lead-contaminated paint and asbestos. So this room has basically been, the floor has been cleaned, the walls have been scraped of any peeling lead-based paint.
It looks a lot better than when I was in here last time.
So I say it looks much better just by cleaning up all the stuff that had dust on it and stuff. When they go through and they abate the asbestos, they want everything clean, so if they get dust from their work, they can wet it down and handle it properly. You can see where there's a plastic enclosure where they're removing a pipe that has asbestos in it. And those types of activities are going on throughout the mill as we speak.
Okay. Well, we'll just kind of nose around here. Is there any danger that I can get in trouble with the boys?
There's always danger when there's no heat and no lights and there's no electricity.
Well, I'll just do a quick walkthrough if you don't mind.
Not a problem.
Okay. You can. I'll let you go back to work.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks. There's a panel of fuses. We're looking south right now. We're in the camera's pointed south, and we're going southeast to this room, and I think this was the finishing room with the paper, but I'm not sure. Didn't spend much time here, even though I lived a couple blocks away. We looked this building over very carefully, and in the hopes that we could salvage some part of it and make some use out of it. The point being that once it's down and it's so close to the river, we're not able to rebuild. But if a building still is up and you rehab it, it's permissible. And therein lies the problem. There just wasn't enough to salvage in here to save any of the structure. So the decision was made to tear it down completely. We are looking straight east, and if we looked out the windows, we'd be looking at the Mississippi River. This is a lot cleaner and more manageable than it was the last time we looked at it. We looked at it as possible city maintenance garage. We had the artist people come in and see if there was a potential of some use they could have, and just everybody just shook their head and said it's a hopeless situation. I don't know if you can see, but we're looking down a little hole here, and it looks like about 15 feet down there there's another level to this building. I know the young boys were in here, and there's a broken window, and there's a lot of vandalism, but really the end result of tearing it down had nothing to do with the vandalism, other than it was a danger to the kids that were coming in here, or people. I don't know how much we can see. We're looking into another dark, long room here, and this would be the west wall, and we're pointing the camera north. We're looking in the northerly direction in another offshoot of the room we are standing in. It looked like a little office area. We're looking straight north again at another offshoot of the room we're standing in. Get the floor wetted down, keep the dust down. Our electric panels used a lot of electricity in this operation. We're looking east out of one of the block windows, and that's the river. I don't know how clear you can see it through a double glass. Put it in perspective, this is the east side of the building. Shabby insulation. A lot of steel beams in here. I would imagine would be salvageable. For no other reason, the scrap iron, there's an awful lot of that in this building. One of the workers, having a clue as to what he's doing. We're looking north, but we're more on the west side of the building now with some of their equipment. And this was the railroad tracks came in for loading purposes, I assume that's a big door over in that end, and the trains would back their boxcars right back in here for loading and receiving, I guess. Paper rolling machine. Thank you. That was nice. Yeah, I was looking for it a few minutes ago that I didn't know what these guys were doing, but now we know. They're taping, and they'll be cutting those pipes off and putting them in that dumpster. Here's another big fat one right here that they'll have to work on. I've been wandering around the building filming asbestos and didn't even know it. Thank you, boys.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
Yeah. Oh, I just remembered I was supposed to bring Urban O'Trimble along with me so he could tell me what we were filming here. We'll have to do another version of this when I get to see this. It's kind of dark, but these are the big rollers, and the paper rolls out to, I assume, an end product out on this end, but the rollers are still in here. Evidently they weren't salvageable. I'm looking north in a room that's north of the rollers. And now we're in another room, and he's doing the same thing as we showed you a few seconds ago. He's wrapping, and they'll cut the pipes off and haul them out to the landfill. A lot simpler than trying to remove the asbestos from the pipes, because then the asbestos fibers go flying through the air. So this is a much less dangerous way of proceeding. As long as they're tearing down, they don't have a problem with salvaging the pipes. It's a nice sunny day, but in here it's getting kind of cold. The fingers are getting cold, and I think I have to replace the battery anyway. These are the railroad tracks that we filmed from the other direction, and this is the dumpster that's got the asbestos ready to be hauled out to the landfill. Outside, here are the boys in the white suits.
But the buck was fairly decent. That probably won 175.
I understand there's some storage barrels or something that they're working with some contamination in them. The boys weren't wearing the suits there for the asbestos because of the procedure they were using, not necessary. There's no asbestos flying through the air. Very clever. I'm impressed. Looking to the south end, and that's the railroad trestle up ahead. And this is probably the latest addition that was put onto the building, but it's kind of bare bones. Really doesn't. I think it was just part of a storage of the paper. Now we're swinging back to, we're looking northeast, and there's the smokestack. Now we're looking north from the south end of the building. Kind of the southwest kind of comes off at an angle. And as we pan to our right, these windows over here were the ones that we were looking out at the river. Well, not these, but the ones on the east side. This is the south side of the plant. I was telling Ron I wish I had a nickel for every time I crossed this trestle. We used to go over to the east side and go to the ballpark, or go out to the golf course and caddy, or look for baseball. There's the Mississippi. Or look for turtles. We could sell turtles too in the old days. Any way you could turn a buck. Iron, we'd pick scrap iron. This is the construction outfit, and we're looking at the farthest south end of this property. There's the Lindbergh Drive south, over in that area. And they won't allow vehicles to cross the railroad track, so there will be a route under the trestle, and we're going to try to get down there to see what, to do some filming on the other side of the building. They got a big fence here now, so I'm not sure how I'm going to get down there. There's some of their equipment. They have this whole area fenced off. We're looking at the east side of the old building that extends right down to the river. Actually, it goes into the river. And we can't get any closer than this because of the fencing they put up here. But we're looking at the north wall of that building. That's the I think that's the old original building. That's the river in the background and some storage tanks they have to take care of. Looking out towards Muzzers. Yeah, that's the south side of the pre-treatment plant. And I'm not sure what this structure is doing. We should have had the Urban with us to view this. A lot of iron. Like some kind of conveyor apparatus. Looking at the north side of that building. A lot of little buildings jogging out from the original. Kind of a catwalk there. We'll film what we can, even though the fence is in our way. Better view of the pre-treatment plant, looking northeast. And this is what blew out when the canal blew out. Took part of the pre-treatment plant, and that just about nullified any use of this paper mill to be used as a paper mill. So that's $1 million item that blew out. Sort of like the place was doomed. A lot of rubble and storage buildings over here in that direction. Looking in the direction north, the canal is off to the left. And that was a loading ramp to the storage area. They were semi outside. They were shielded with a roof and 3 sides. There were 3-sided buildings. There was a fire in there. Looking in the direction of the pre-treatment. This is what's left of the railroad tracks going into the building over here. Looking south on the north side of the building. We take some long shots of this too. We're looking right into the sun. That's not good. The railroad cut out the railroad tracks, which ran all the way to the main line way over there. North side of the building again, into the sun. Looking towards the Minnesota power plant, looming above all the rubble here. A lot more steel work and conveyor belts and track. Maybe salvageable items. Nothing else for iron. I should say scrap iron. This is a long shot of the mill looking southeast. Standing by the railroad tracks. The canal is to my left. It's kind of hard to get the building's so big, it's kind of hard to get it all in one view. Plus the fencing has created a problem for me too. I will do the best we can. This is the canal right here, and this is the area where it blew out. And the water went cascading down to the river, and you're looking at what's left of the pre-treatment plant, and unfortunately that's where it blew out, negating any possibility of of some future use of the paper mill as a paper mill. And that's the and you have to have a pre-treatment before you can discharge water into the river. PCA regulations. And this is where the canal worked its way over to the mill over in that direction. Actually standing in the bottom of the canal, and Minnesota built this berm here so you can't see the full run of what used to be the canal. This is a buffer, so well, for whatever reason, I don't know, prevent any flow of water to this area where it would flow into the river in this area here. So this will all be filled in one way or the other up to that berm. And we'll video the other side of it. We intend to continue this video as they demolish the mill, so we'll have a record of it while it was still standing, which we're doing now, until it's completely demolished. 80, we're still standing in the canal, and that's where the canal went into the paper mill. Right in there. We're actually standing on the berm right now, and this is the panning towards the hydroelectric plant, Minnesota Power. We're swinging north, and this is the what's left of the canal. And there's a crossing bridge, and there are gates underwater there to shut the flow of water down. So I think there's a certain amount of seepage. And this berm was built here to stop it from moving farther. Now we get a pretty good perspective, if the sun isn't too bright, as to, I'm going to get a better angle here. Better angle as to how deep the canal was, probably 18 feet flowing into the paper mill. And at one time there was a bridge across here. It was the I forget how you pronounce that, like the North Trestle expansion or extension bridge or something like that that ran across here. And in this area right here there was a flour mill. I've got pictures of it. And there was another flour mill. Now let's see, no, the flour mill, I'm out of perspective here. Now we're looking north, and we're looking at the other side of the berm, and this was the foundation for the old bridge that was here, and it spanned across here, and it looked just like one section of the North Trestle Bridge. And foundation for the east side of that bridge. And right alongside the power plant was a very tall flour mill, and then this there was a road running right between them, and then there was another one located right in here. Maybe we'll show you pictures of that later. I've got some pictures of it at home. Don't know how well they'll do. And somewhere right in this area there was a huge tunnel. It was probably about 6 to 8 feet tall, that would siphon water off this canal, and I assumed fed the needs of the two flour mills that were on the other side of the railroad tracks, which is what's separating the canal from the river. But we'll try to show you those pictures at some point in this video. So we'll take another 180 here and look into the sun and look at the paper mill from a distance. And there's the trestle. We're looking pretty much east to northeast. A view of the mill from the south side, looking northeast. Couldn't get down there because the gate was closed. Maybe I'll catch it some other time when it's open and give you a look at the east side, which is kind of an interesting side because it And the foundation goes right into the river. Standing in Maple Island Park, and we're looking across the river at the east side of the paper mill. That's the view from this direction. That's the part we couldn't get down to because of the fencing and the gates. It's a real complex of buildings. This is Mill Island and the dam. And this is a view across the river from the Musser homes. This is what they looked at, looking out their back windows at the paper mill. It's a much better view, and the sun's in the right spot, so we should get a better view here of the side. Now there's the part of the building I was talking about that goes right into the water, right into the river. It's a water discharge area, I'm sure, but then it had to go through the pre-treatment plant, so it could no longer be discharged from there. At least I don't think so. There's the ever-present stack. We look through these windows right here on the first floor to look at the river from inside. And to put it in perspective, there's the trestle. Real good view of the multi-numbers of buildings that were involved in the paper making process. And we will cut this portion off and try to follow the demise of the building as it progresses. When it becomes obvious where they're taking buildings down. Have full permission to do that yet. Too many government agencies have to put their stamp of approval on the project before it can proceed beyond the asbestos and the pollution type products that are being removed right now. The time check. Should have done it sooner, just didn't think about it. But now we have it. That's the Musser house. And that's the Warehouser house. From a river view. Minnesota Power hydroelectric facility. We used to fish down there all the time when I was growing up. You probably know I grew up about a block from the paper mill, on the same westerly direction from the mill, 504 3rd Street Southwest. My whole life was spent around this paper mill, even though I never worked there. I tried getting jobs, but I never quite made it. And in retrospect, in the way my life went, I'm kind of glad that I didn't. Well, we're on the river side of the building this time. The gate was open and we walked through. We're looking inside the south end of the building. We're looking back at the railroad trestle and the road that goes under the trestle and into the backside, and which ultimately will be the road you'll have to use to get into this area when it becomes a park. Gotta stay out of their way. They're dumping into dumpsters. Going back in the building. The window we looked out of from the inside a little earlier. Those geese sure are they're hard to film. They move pretty fast. I did get, hopefully I got some good picture on the east side of the building, along the road here. The demolition is started on the outside. We're still on the east side of the building. I'm not sure if there was a building here. There was something here. That's all gone. Cold today. Still on the east side. On the part of the building that the foundation goes right down to the river, although it doesn't seem like that from here, as I remember it. Maybe the water was higher then, I don't know. But I think this was the original discharge in the old days when they didn't have to use the pre-treatment plant. That's the river, and that's that little island I talked about earlier. It's about as close as I'll get to this. There's the fence on the other side. We filmed from the other direction and from Muzzer area. And it looks like the progress. They're talked about taking a roof down, but so far all the roofs are intact. And maybe, maybe this, oh, here we go. That roof is partly missing. In one of the lower windows, and it looks like an office area inside. Pretty dark in there. And there's the rubble of this. Looks like a lean-to to the original building. This is part of the fencing that separates you from the river itself, and that's the trestle, railroad trestle way down there. When we're looking at the road, they had to cut it down a little bit to give them a little more clearance. This is the trestle up above us. This is some of Landwehr's property or vehicles and equipment. They're the contractor doing the demolishing. We'll kind of wrap it up today. Not too much more to see, but we'll keep abreast of the progress of this project and put it all together for a total picture of the demise of the Hennepin paper mill. Talked to a couple gentlemen down there that are working on the project, and they said that the roofs probably won't come down till sometime in January. So we're still working on the asbestos inside, and once that's done, then maybe the demolishing can proceed. So we'll keep abreast of the project and see what happens. Well, we went around the north side of the building, and the big cat down there looks like he's cleaning up debris. I've gotten rid of a lot of the stuff that was part of the pre-treatment plant. That's beyond the cap there. So they must be cleaning up debris there. I'm looking through a fence here. They got it fenced off again, or more so. And that looks like a loading ramp there, or a cement slab that led to the storage buildings that are gone, or a few of them are gone. Let's look over here once. Yeah, that's one of the storage buildings. The roof is off of it, so they're doing some demolishing here. That's the canal down there. We'll try to pan here. We're panning right through the fence. And that's the progress on the north side of the building. We shall return. Give you a little time check and a date check. It's chilly out here. Here's the fence that runs along and separates me from the building. Well, we moved down about 20 feet and got a little better picture of the removal of the pre-treatment plant. Well, we're getting towards the end of December and the project is underway. We're at the Hennepin paper mill and the roof is off this addition here. Got locked out of the gate. It came up here earlier and went home and got the camera. They locked the gate on me so I can't get around the back side. So we'll do the best we can here, give you an update. Here's the rubble from the roof. We're south of the paper mill now. The trestle is right behind me. And we're looking at some of the rubble. This is a lot of concrete here with the reinforcement. I was going to get a close-up of that, but can't get that close to it because the fence in the way and the gate is locked. But this is all pile of cement floors behind the trees. Have to get here earlier next time. We're now on the west side of the building, looking southeast through the fence. They got the gate closed and the crew is already gone. We're panning straight east. Now we're shooting through the fence. This is the far northern end of the paper mill. We can pan a little bit. They're doing some demolition there. We're on the north end of the paper mill. That's a pile of, looks like cement. And there's a bunch of rubble. I think that's the canal or close to it. And the, let's see, there's a pile of rubble way over there. So that's about what's left of the pre-treatment plant. They've got that completely down. And then we're looking at the area where the canal busted loose, trying to get between the fence. There we go. That's where the canal blew out, right in there. Pre-treatment plant was to the right, and that's all down now, and those storage buildings are completely gone. So they're on their way. We're looking at the north end of that building that we filmed with the roof off the south side. That's the north side of that roof. We're looking kind of south, a little bit southeast, and there's the smokestack still up. So they're progressing. I don't know what's happening inside. Next time we'll have to come earlier and go inside and see what they're doing there. But that's about all we can update you on right now. On this day, let's see, the 29th of December. Mill this morning. We got a group of guys. We're going to look this place over for the structural engineer to see what we have to, concessions we have to make to the Historical Society. So we have a structural engineer with us, and we're gonna tour. And it's colder than the well digger's auger today. Building now. This is the main part of the original part of the mill. Railroad tracks come into the building. Kevin, the structural engineer that we hired to look this over, they want to save some walls and save some part of the building for as part of the park. And we're here to determine if walls can be salvaged. Kevin Bean. If some of the parts of the walls can be saved without costing too much money, or if they're structurally safe. So that's what we're trying to do today.
That's our intent, though.
This is the wall, or part of the wall they want to save. And how much of the floor they want to keep. Looks like a brick wall. That's the disc structure. Foreman. Forget his name.
Look at some of the salvageable items, locations, and the height, that we're going to try to set for top of the wall kind of thing. We're trying to salvage some of the walls as seam-type walls, things that would stick up 2.5 to 3 feet above the future grade elevation. And also those walls would also help with the confined space as well as some walls. And then we'd like to try to salvage a couple other walls for small retaining wall type features, which we'll probably maybe have to reinforce a little bit, here and there, depending on how much retaining wall.
Elevation from the bottom level compared to the top level yet.
I got a couple references, maps and stuff that should help us out today, beyond where we're at right there. And so I wanted to...
That's okay, we'll do that where it's warmer.
Do we have more stuff?
Later. 1:30, City Hall. City Hall.
Okay. You want to primarily just look at position?
When you look at this drawing, for example, where the shadow is right here.
Yeah.
That wall, this way down.
Right, correct.
So would that be the most obvious place to start? So if we take everything from the structural perspective, we take everything off this wall and say that the height of the river over there, our dirt is to be this height right here. Remember what you got said.
This is all sequential because, the grade, the final grade is, there's a range, I'm sure, but, 10 feet plus minus.
So if I'm the contractor, we're going to give this list of walls that we want to save and other items that we want to save. What if we don't have to take this out? What if I can put 4 feet of dirt on top of this?
Right. In the end, I think we'll probably have to position the walls. We'll have to take a look at reference elevations and things like that. Try to shake it up because there might be other little, this wall height is also contingent on some of the other wall heights. So it's all going to have to be relative to each other.
In your mind, have you determined yes, this should come out or no, this shouldn't yet?
No, I haven't determined it. No. I mean, in my sort of detailed knowledge, some of the structural stuff has just been to the point of, that one visit that we have. So.
Well, this is Kenny Peterson's plan there. Kenny, you guys can start knocking on this, and that's one of the reasons we need to do this.
Yeah.
Because they're going to start hopefully next week or so, destroying some of this stuff. So they're going to
Ron Clinker.
what's going to stay in what shape. Another thing we had a conversation with the folks in the Historic Society. There's some environmental factors that need to be taken into effect too that I don't know if they were not. There's a steam tank that was determined to be leaking. So this whole area is going to need to be pretty much ripped up and soil investigation done here basically in the back by digging out soil, taking samples. This is all this whole area.
About contamination of what's left over.
This area may be able to say portion of this wall.
That's feasible to leave the wall and flooring.
All concrete removed except foundations will be left 2 foot below grade. With the basic floors
lot of other things coming. Like Ron was just saying, he was just that there's a kerosene tank here and this whole thing's gone. Either way. But Ron, that also probably means that this wall is probably in jeopardy then too. Maybe when they do some exploratory demo there.
Once you get down, about 5 feet here, I mean, you can see there's openings underneath here that are at old windows to the wall of the mill here, so it's going to, I say if you start filling with dirt, you're going to have to do some reinforcement. There's openings here in the base.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing too. We've got, we've got another floor underneath this, and so we're going to have costs, filling that in, and so we have to, we'll have to kind of position this all relative to each other and figure out, what's best for cost in terms of this, change orders in order to get this done. What I did do, Jerry, was I assumed essentially a 0-0 elevation, and then went above that or below that relative to the walls. So, we know at the top of the walls, and so, eventually when we figure all this is out, we can kind of set that 0-0 relative to an elevation, hopefully.
And then do you have a 0-0 sense of where is it?
Where is it? It's still floating. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go look at this wall on the other side, because this is, looking at this the other day, this is the only wall that goes all the way through here that I assume is the one that you would want to have to be this main wall here. Because there is no other wall over here.
Right. Well, that would probably be one that's rebuilt or, built.
Well, they're going down this little narrow stairway to look at the structure down below. We're going to go down. I don't know if we'll be able to see anything. They're using flashlights, so we'll go down and see what happens. I don't know what we'll be able to see on camera here, but they're down this narrow hallway and they're looking at the structure of this wall that I'm standing by. I got a little more light in this direction, so I'm going to swing back and probably not be able to get any conversation of what they're doing, but this is the wall they're concerned about. We can see a little bit now. Camera usually picks up more than what I can see, but we're down in the basement, looking back up at the main floor, and there's an awful lot of structural material here that has to come out. Before the building can come down. That's probably about all we can see down here. Awful lot of pipes and everything to be removed. I understand they've got the asbestos out, but I don't know if that's for sure. And I'm not sure. We're in the basement, that I know. A lot of electrical boxes in this area. And we are pretty much on the east wall of the building. And we will swing around here where there's sunlight coming out of an open door here and a small stairway. We'll go up and see what it looks like on the outside. A lot of debris. We're kind of standing on the stairway. It's a huge tank made out of block. I would say this is probably the beater room where they beat the pulp into, should have Urban here, beat the wood into pulp. Never have understood the process of making paper, so I'm not an authority of any kind on this. Anyway, came out the open door, and that's the Mississippi River over there. We're on the east side of the main building here. We'll pan it. Looks like a humongous project. To take this building down and to take it down and try to salvage some walls is going to be really difficult. We're looking straight south now, and therein lies the reason the structural engineer is here, because you start taking walls down, you can bust them down, but to try to save 3-4 feet of it, probably have to do some cutting, masonite cutting, to salvage any part of the walls. And of course then you're talking extra money. A project like this, how much can the budget afford? Some of the grant money is tied to the historical value of what remains of this, which will eventually be a park. And so they have to sign off on any final plans, and therein lies the reason we're here today with the structural engineer, to see what's possible and feasible, if that makes any sense. This is the stairway I just came up. I don't know if I'll ever find my way out of here. I am on the outside, so maybe I should stay out here. And that's my shadow in the sun. Must be the beater room. Well, this is really a grisly looking place. How structurally safe it is at this point, I don't know. Start tearing into things, you never know what's going to fall down on your head. Most of the stuff you see on the metal here is pulp plastered to it, just like glue. That's kind of what this part of the basement looks like. Looking up through a hole in the basement floor to the first floor level. Very dark down here. Boys are all using flashlights. They're way down there. And to my right is the wall that we're concerned about. Salvaging part of it for posterity. Back on the main level, you can see things here. Troops are still down the basement, but it was too dark for me to do any videoing down there. Just to give you an idea of all the piping and electric lines and metal structure, ductwork. All this has to come out. All of it has to come down. Looking at the ceiling, and there's still remnants of equipment that wasn't salvageable. We're looking pretty much south right now. Monumental job of tearing this down, and all the red tape involved with it doesn't help matters. But eventually it'll come down, because that's the American way. Now we're looking pretty much straight north. Now we're looking back towards the east. Got this fenced off. Must not be safe to step inside there. Now we're entering another room here, and this is, we're looking north right now. All this has to go. And there's a door here to the riverside, which is the east side. Filmed this from that level down there a few minutes ago. And now we're looking at it from first floor level. There's the river. Now we're looking kind of south. Should make a beautiful park. It's a storage area for probably some toxic liquids. Reminiscences of catwalks all over the place. We're back inside. We're walking south on this long passageway, I guess you'd call it. Big equipment that we've flown before, it's still here. Has to be removed. Warehouse area, the original warehouse area. We've almost made a complete cycle because this is where I'm panning now. This is where we came in. Piling rubble. The railroad track. Hole in the roof. A huge building. We're now at the south end, the farthest south wall of the building, or the combination of buildings. This was where I believe the paper cutters and the end product ended up along this long line of manufacturing the paper. Looking way back at. All steel up there. There's a huge elevator. Looks like they pretty much cleaned the debris out of this area. This is the peekabooing through one of the windows with a broken glass. That's the Mississippi River there. And there's a time check. And I guess that's about all we're going to do right now. Maybe we'll catch up to the troops and maybe pick up some more information as to decisions they might be making as to what they're going to salvage and what is not financially feasible to salvage for the future park to satisfy the Minnesota Historical Society.
And see, you know, what can't we say? Well, I mean, like you said, though, Ron, I mean, you could, is there a way in which you can take like three of them and then just assemble it, or, you know, you could even cut it, you could even, you know, save one, save one trailer, one drive. Right. Well, the plan was never to save this whole thing, you know, it was just to save a portion of it so you could get a sense of the process of the drive.
talking about salvaging a piece of this equipment here.
Well, there's...
But this isn't a riveted truss, is it?
No, that's in addition to those boiler room riveted trusses.
If you're so down at
A few weeks have passed since we were over here and on vacation and wasn't available. Looks like they're making progress. We're looking at the west side of the buildings, and they're hard at it. We'll try to get up close and more personal, but we thought we'd take a long shot here to start with. We're on the southeast side of the building, and that's the river there, and some geese are there, open water. Again, we're on the east side. Looks like they're working their way from the west. Not too much action back here. This is the Muzzer Estate across the river. Still on the east side. They have the go-ahead from the Minnesota Historical Society and DNR and all the other agencies that are involved in this project. And they know what memorabilia they have to save. And the destruction of the building is underway. Beautiful day today, almost 25 degrees about now. This AM. Now we'll go in the east side or the west side of the building and see where all the action is. This is the area where the canal blew out, and they've got that pretty well cleared away. We're shooting through the fence here. Probably get a better angle someplace else. But it looks like the pre-treatment plant is completely gone. It was right in that area there. We'll pan in this direction. We're looking at the north side of the building complex. And now more south. There's the familiar stack. And we'll get up closer in a few minutes. Instead of take some long shots. Gradually coming down. looking southeast, almost south, and we'll pan to the left. A lot of debris here. Standing on the railroad tracks. A little nervous about going any closer to that operation. Probably be told I have to wear a hard hat. This looks like a slow and tedious job. A lot of hauling away with debris. A lot of metal. Wiring, plumbing. It'll take some time. They've progressed quite a bit in, I think it's been about 3 weeks since I've been here. The boiler tank and all those lines, steam lines going off. They thought they'd have to get special equipment to get that out of here, but they lucked out. Pretty happy about that. That's about it for now. Let's see, we'll do a time check. And we'll come back tomorrow with a hard hat and go inside. I can't go inside without a hard hat and they don't have a spare, so we'll try it again tomorrow. Well, they're done for the day. Brought the wrong camera along. Had to go back and then got caught by train, but they're really taking her down. All the big equipment is settled for the evening, I hope. I don't have my hard hat on. My hard hat is out at the land. Now we're doing a 180 here. We're gonna get word in advance when the chimney's coming down, so I'll try to be here for that. That'll be quite an occasion. This is what I can see from the entryway here. Beyond this gate, you're not supposed to be without a helmet. Hard hat, I guess they call them. Well, we're outside the fence, so we're not going to get a good shot, but I'm going to have to go out and get my hard hat so I can do some serious filming inside. We're looking at the west side of the building and we're panning to the southeast or south. I'm standing on the railroad tracks, which is not a healthy situation. We'll look down in here. And probably come back tomorrow. Or the next day. Jack Ring is filming this, and so is Ron Klinker. He's got the inside track because he's working here, supervising. So we'll probably end up putting all the stuff together and see what we can do for a classic show about the demise of the Hennepin paper mill. Gates are closed for the day. Like I said, I brought the wrong camera, so I had to go back. Got stuck by train, and by the time I got here, it was too late. We'll shut her down for today. Well, we got the hard hat on today, and here comes train. Shut it off for a minute. I don't even know if this is safe to be here with all the derailments. But we're looking south. Smiley face. Finally left. This is the area where they pulled out the boiler the other day when we were filming, and there's still some boiler tanks here. Haven't been taken out yet. But what they did was they filled this area in with sand, gravel, so they can get their heavy equipment in here. And these are all trucks loading the debris and taking them out to the landfill here in Morrison County. That's where all the debris is going. The salvageable stuff belongs to Landwehr, and I guess the going rate on iron is $150 a ton. So I'm sure they've got a lot of tons of metal here that they can salvage. And that was all part of the contract. Now we're going to see if we can get inside. I got my hard hat and the orange sweatshirt on. I'm told I can't go inside the building, so we'll have to shoot it from the ends. Everything is in too dangerous a situation right now. Everything is coming down with their heavy equipment. No one is manually inside, at least I don't think so. If they are, they better have a stronger hat than I have. But just talked to Ron Klinker, and he's telling me that they've been careful removing the metal, because the metal's got a pretty good price tag on it now, so they want to get out. But these last few days have just been kind of boring, knocking down these brick walls and removing debris. We're panning south here now, and this is where the railroad tracks ended up in here. This was the loading area, and a lot of that is knocked down. Now we're looking towards the river, which is east, into, I guess I consider right about in here being the end of the original building, and everything else is an addition to. And the roof is down in that area, and the additions. Now we're looking northeast. Looks like he's working on the salvage material and loading it. We'll pan straight east, and all this whole end of the building is gone, or at least down. And we're working on hauling it out. Here comes a big piece of equipment. We're looking straight north, and this is the canal over here, and I'm going to get out of here. I was standing right there a few minutes ago. A lot of heavy equipment. time check. We're now outside the fence, standing by the railroad tracks. And he's loading some of the metal in one of these big trucks. Salvage items. You know what it would be like trying to do that by hand? Impossible. And that's the way it's done. Very slow and tedious, but they're moving along with the project very nicely. They're on schedule. We're looking through the fence right now at the inside of the building. It looks like it's all emptied out and ready to be knocked down. We're looking east towards the river. And I'm told the tower is going to come down in a couple of weeks. They're going to remove the debris from this area and try to fall it in this direction. We're looking north, but they want to fall it south. And hopefully we'll be here for that. There are two other people filming, so one or all of us should get the chimney as it comes down. That'll be a historic moment. It's been there all my life. We're looking at the south side of the building right now, the far end of the south end of the paper mill. And I imagine a matter of a few days that'll be coming down. So I guess that's our report for today. It's a fairly nice day. A little chilly, I put my jacket on, but not bad.